As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the week?
College football playoff rankings are out, and I got to go with the ACC. All of a sudden, you look up and you got Miami at 6, you got SMU at 9, and you got Clemson at 12. Who knows what's going to happen? But the dynamics have kind of changed over the last couple of weeks as to what the makeup of this playoff could look like.
2 weeks ago, we were like, ACC's one big league, Big 12's one big league. That was like 2 weeks ago.
SEC is going to get the rest of the teams in.
And I know that some people are looking at Miami's game against Syracuse going, is that a dangerous spot? I think Miami's going to be fine in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're going to get Miami, SMU in the title game. And if it's a good game, the best thing for the ACC would be for those two teams to get into that game and play a great, super competitive game that comes down to the last couple of possessions in the fourth quarter. And then you probably get both teams in. And then Clemson's just kind of lurking on the periphery.
And if they can beat a South Carolina team that a lot of people have thought very highly of and said, hey, if there's a 3-loss team, and this has been a while, but if there's a 3-loss team that can get in, maybe it's South Carolina with the way that they've really come on strong and some of the wins that they've got. Clemson knocks them off. I mean, you at least put the committee in a spot, right, to see what's going to happen. And I guess that takes me right into my loser of the week. It's got to be the SEC. I mean, like we talked a couple of weeks ago, we're talking about, does the SEC get 4 teams in or do they get 5 teams in? And they may be sitting in a position right now where at best they get 3. And there's a nightmare scenario where maybe they don't even get that.
The nightmare scenario would be, well, I guess the nightmare scenario is everyone loses. That's unlikely. But Tennessee's got Vandy. I think Georgia's going to be fine against Georgia Tech. Not particularly worried about that one, even though Brent Key does like to beat good teams. That's what he does.
I think
But
they'll be fine this week, but the SEC championship presents another problem for them.
Texas, I think if you're looking at what's best for the SEC in getting the maximum amount of teams in, it's Texas winning
Yes.
at College Station, and then Georgia beating Texas in a good game in the SEC championship game.
Right.
Because I think Tennessee may be the big winner of all the chaos that took place last week.
Absolutely.
They're in. I don't see any scenario. Well, I guess if they lose to Vandy, that would be.
Which, I mean,
Would it be shocking? Maybe not. That's going to be a home game for Tennessee, though. Nashville is a Tennessee town. It's not a
yeah.
Vandy town.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. But, I mean, Tennessee, I don't know that they've really left anyone thinking that they're just going to, can put it on cruise control at this point. The nightmare scenario is A&M beats Texas. I don't think. Do you think a 2-loss Texas gets in without a win over a top team?
I think it's a very uncomfortable conversation between the loser of the ACC championship game, Indiana, and possibly like Clemson. And I don't know if Texas is going to win that discussion. I think they would because of the caliber of players, because of the brand. I think because they're, even though their schedule has not been good, like they're in the SEC.
Right. Well,
I
okay.
I think like a 1-loss Indiana or a 2-loss Texas.
Now the next step of that though is they lose to A&M. and A&M beats Georgia in the SEC championship game.
Then A&M's in and Texas is out. I feel
What about Georgia? Out
Georgia's in.
with 3 losses?
Correct. I I am of the belief, and I have no way to prove this because this is the first year of this, but I am of the belief that teams will not be punished severely for losing in the conference championship game. I could end up being very wrong.
It's a weird precedent to set. It's a weird spot. I mean, so
How
you'd
about
have to
this?
put
How about
Georgia
this?
in over Texas, right?
How about A&M beats Texas this weekend?
Yeah.
Not hard to imagine that happening, right? And then they go and they play a good game against Georgia and lose in the SEC championship game. Let's say they lose by 7 or by 3. Great game.
You can't put Texas in and leave A&M out.
You can't. We just watched them beat them. Can't do it. That's why I think like those last 3 spots, man, that's going to be a very fun conversation.
Fun for us on the outside looking in, right?
Yeah. If OU was part of it, I just wish we were part of it.
Oh my gosh. It's crazy though. And then how about the Big 12?
You talk about nightmare scenarios, brother.
Yeah. I mean,
There is a path to them not getting a team in the playoff.
correct. And it's not that unlikely. Boise State and Tulane win in their conference championship games. I mean, you look at they're going to climb, and maybe Arizona State loses. Who's ahead of them? One of South Carolina or Clemson is going to fall because of an extra loss. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, who would be the team that would be clearly in? Iowa State has to win it all. BYU,
Arizona State beating Arizona this weekend and then winning the Big 12 championship game
in.
is in. But what happens they win this weekend and then go and lose? That's where things get very interesting. And we still have to figure out who's even going to play in that game. But there's like 256 scenarios or whatever heading into the weekend.
8 teams have a chance to get in. They better hope it's a couple of 2-loss teams.
Yes. But there is a world where Tulane goes and just stomps Army in the American Conference Championship game. And there's a very uncomfortable waiting period for the Big 12. Because remember, it's the 5 highest ranked conference champions. There is nothing in that language that says every champion of the Power 4 has to be in.
Right.
So if Boise wins their conference championship game and then Tulane wins their conference championship game, and they both do it in very impressive fashion, then depending on how things work out in the Big 12 championship game, things could get very interesting. I ultimately think the Big 12 champion is in.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to see an uncomfortable period of time where it's being debated. It would be fun.
This is what I've wanted from college football for a long time. We're going into the last week of the season, and I'm looking here. The number 24th ranked team in the country, Kansas State, has a chance to get in. Right? And not everyone, but most of the teams between them and number 1 have some type of avenue to get into the 12-team playoff. That's what you want. You want all of those fan bases engaged at this late in the season.
No doubt about it. All right, let's get to my winner and loser. But first, Lucy Breakers are 100% pure nicotine pouches with an extra burst of flavor, and you can get them delivered right to your front door. Go to lucy.co and use promo code BREAKDOWN at checkout for 20% off your first order. That's lucy.co and use promo code BREAKDOWN. My go-to Lucy Breakers, 4 milligrams, mint. That's all I need. Perfect for the golf course. Pop one in before I walk the dogs at night. Fantastic. I know some of y'all are more hardcore. You're going to want the 8 milligrams. They got them. Don't worry, they got them. Lucy Breakers come in a variety of flavors, including classics like mint, but they also have got berry citrus, espresso, and mango. You can even set up a subscription to make things even more convenient. Level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co and use promo code BREAKDOWN for 20% off your first order. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. My winner of the week. You heard our guy T-Bob mention it. Michigan football. Now they're bowl eligible. It's been a bad season, but hey, they won the national title last year. You get to have a bad season after you win a national title, I suppose. But this Bryce Underwood thing is wild. If you are unaware, Bryce Underwood is a 5-star quarterback. He is the number 1 recruit in the country in the class of 2025. He also happens to be from Michigan. But he had been committed to LSU until last week when he suddenly flipped to Michigan. And a 5-star flipping to the flagship school in his home state, it's not the craziest thing ever. Until Dave Portnoy told us the details of what happened. I mean, he said he gets a call from Michigan. Hey, a donor wants to talk to you. And he basically said, he was like, I want to handle this thing, this QB thing on my own. I don't really feel like talking to anyone. And the person from Michigan said, this person's a big fan of you, big fan of Barstool. And they also this person happens to be married to Larry Ellison. Jolin. For anyone that doesn't know, Larry Ellison founded Oracle. He's like the second or third richest person in the world. He's worth like $240 billion.
Couple $100 billion, no big deal.
Needless to say, Portnoy was in.
Yeah.
I guess they just get on a Zoom like the Ellisons and Dave Portnoy. And from what Portnoy said, it became very clear that Jolin Ellison does not like Michigan being bad at football.
Yeah.
And wanted to do something about it. They organized a call with Bryce Underwood and his parents. I saw in some of the reporting from ESPN that the Underwoods, they took a couple of weeks to consider the offer. Really? He went on to a visit. Went to a visit at LSU as they ruminated over the options. Come on, man. I mean,
just had to let LSU down softly, right?
I don't know if I like this. In fact, I don't think I like it. I don't know. But I know this. This is ridiculous, but damn it, do I respect it. From Jolin Ellison's standpoint. You just got all this money, and you don't want to see your college football team be bad. So what do? You do something about it, Ted. I love it. I love that mentality from her. That's fantastic.
Wedding gift, I want a new quarterback. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's crazy that this is where we are. I don't like it, but I like that they took him from LSU.
Same.
I'd rather he be playing at Michigan than at LSU.
Completely agree. That was my first thought. It's like, well, at least he's not in the SEC because everyone said this kid is going to be an absolute star.
Yeah.
And we'll see. But I guess LSU didn't find out until Adam Schefter broke the news live on ESPN.
Oh my gosh. Which is crazy because that's not really his game, you know. I mean, pretty big deal though. It's wild. I don't what they say like 11, 12 million bucks, something like that.
Yeah. But they had to take some time to consider what they wanted to do.
I
Okay.
mean, you know, Portnoy's got a ton of money. Um, but when someone steps in with $200 billion, like how do you think they divvy up the check on that?
I'm guessing Jolin was just like, we got it, man. Don't worry about it.
Just sign him to a Barstool deal or something.
Yeah. And I think he said they're doing like a Black Friday merch deal for Underwood,
Yeah.
where all the proceeds, he said all the proceeds go to Bryce Underwood.
Yeah. That's a good way to not sell anything except for to Michigan people, I guess, right?
Just wild, man.
Crazy.
I don't know what's going to happen once the revenue sharing stuff starts, but I do think things like this, they'll just label it as marketing. And, until these guys are employees and there's a collective bargaining agreement, like this is fair game, man.
Yeah. It's wild.
My loser of the week. It kind of just made me sad seeing it. Mack Brown. I've had a few encounters with Mac over the years, and he's awesome, man.
Super nice.
He's just a delight to be around. And he'd come out and said, hey, I have every intention of coaching at North Carolina next season. And North Carolina came out and said, hey, man, no thanks. And he's won more games at North Carolina than any other coach. And sometimes these things just in this way, Ted, but he's going to coach against NC State this weekend. It's unclear if he's going to coach their bowl game, but slowly but surely, like these coaching legends are leaving us, and I feel like this is the end of the line for Mack Brown. And for whatever reason, it kind of just, I mean, I played against his teams, so I
Hmm.
have an immense amount of respect for him. And I don't know, man, it's a weird feeling seeing another one of these big time coaches kind of moving on.
There's there's not many left. Um, there's a handful out there, but yeah, Mac's done it a long time. 16 seasons at North Carolina, I think, right?
Yeah,
Um,
won
pretty impressive.
113 games there. He's got 288 wins, 113 at North Carolina and 158 at UT.
Yep, that's crazy because he was at Texas for what, 15 years? 16? Something like that.
Something like that.
So, I mean, the fact that he won that many games at both of those places, that's a long time as a head coach, man. Think about how much the game has changed since he's been in it. Wild.
I just realized I just added that up. I wrote down 113 at North Carolina and 158 at Texas. That does not add up to 288.
Mm.
He's got the eighth most wins all time for FBS coaches. So I'm missing something there. The bottom line, he's won a lot of games. This is not a math podcast, okay?
He may have won. He may have been a head coach somewhere before North Carolina.
Wasn't he like at Appalachian State or something? I don't.
Maybe. I don't know.
People love Mack Brown.
Yeah. Yep.
And you want to hear my conspiracy?
Yeah.
I'm not sure who it is, but North Carolina got a yes from someone
Yeah. Probably.
that they wanted. And I don't know if it was their number one target, but it feels like this may have been a situation where it's like, oh, yeah, Mac, you'll be back. And then you're getting pushed out. He's got 3 years left on his contract.
Yeah.
So he's
No.
getting nudged out the door. And I would assume that they've got their guy lined up. I could be completely wrong, and they may do some big search. I know that Bubba Cunningham came out and said, "Oh, we're starting the search immediately." Are you?
Yeah, better. Yeah, it's kind of late in the game to be starting the search. A lot of
How good
people
of a
say
job
that
is North Carolina?
they say they say most people think of it a lot higher than most coaches think of it a lot higher than what maybe most college football fans think of it. There's a lot of access to talent there. Um, your schedule is good, tough, but it's not a killer like it is in the SEC. A lot of people have theorized that Dan Mullen might be up for that North Carolina job. I know the Summerall at Tulane's name has been thrown around, so we'll see.
Going from the Tulane color palette to the UNC color palette would just be strong.
And there's that light blue that they wear is kind of similar.
He'll try to pull some things off. Like he's got some polos that are close. He's gonna wear them and try to be like, is anyone gonna say anything? Three active coaches have won a national championship: Kirby, Dabo, Mack Brown.
It's crazy, isn't it?
We're losing one of them. We'll see what happens the rest of this year. Feels like there's going to be a third, but we'll see. Only three, and we're losing one of them.
Nuts. That's nuts.
I hope Mack Brown enjoys retirement. He's a delightful person.
He'll be on TV or something, don't you think?
So, give me like a Mack Brown podcast where he's just being like an awesome dude, like a grandpa, just giving me advice. I'd listen
Having all
to
his
it.
old players on and stuff. Yeah.